If you listen to the official briefings, the Middle East military conflict is already over. But on the ground, reality looks entirely different. In a recent primetime address, President Trump declared America holds all the cards, stating the military objectives against Iran were, quote, very complete. Look at the actual balance sheet from the opening days of the campaign, however, and a different picture emerges. In less than a week, the Pentagon burned through $11.3 billion. More than $5.6 billion of that went to ammunition alone. That rapid military spending is already bleeding into the domestic economy. Almost overnight, the average U.S. gasoline price surged past $4 a gallon. The spike at the pump is driven by a massive geographical vulnerability. The Strait of Hormuz has been effectively closed by the fighting. This narrow waterway handles 20% of the world's daily oil supply, and right now, the tankers are trapped. The physical airstrikes might be fast and highly targeted, but the metrics of success broadcast from Washington obscure a sprawling, deeply expensive global crisis. To be fair, the administration's claims of tactical dominance are rooted in fact. Military analysts confirm that Iran's air defenses, its navy, and significant portions of its nuclear infrastructure have been systematically dismantled. Yet, severe operational failures are slipping past the headlines. Early in the conflict, 3 separate United States warplanes were shot down, not by Iranian air defenses, but by friendly fire from Kuwait. Then there is the civilian toll. During the first day of the air campaign, strikes hit a town called Minop, killing at least 175 Iranians, many of them schoolgirls. To date, there has been no credible investigation to determine exactly who dropped those bombs. Instead of scrutinizing these events, domestic media networks rely heavily on euphemisms. Anchors use terms like take out or decapitate, framing deadly strikes as if they were simple personnel changes in a corporate boardroom. By sanitizing the language, the public narrative acts as a shield. It effectively hides severe intelligence errors and the grim reality of civilian casualties from the American taxpayers who are funding the operation. If the public messaging is filtered, the internal communications of the administration reveal exactly how this campaign is being managed behind closed doors. 18 high-ranking officials were recently caught discussing highly classified war plans. They weren't using encrypted military channels. They were communicating on Signal, a standard commercial messaging app. The contents of those leaked chats are alarming. Vice President J.D. Vance and other top officials openly mocked European allies. When discussing deadly strikes in Yemen, the National Security Advisor responded with fire and fist emojis. The political irony of this is clear. Many of these officials built their political careers demanding strict accountability for private email servers and the careless handling of data. This institutional culture of poor coordination extends to the administration's energy strategy. The Department of Energy recently triggered a frenzy in global oil markets by falsely tweeting a successful U.S. Navy tanker escort through the Gulf, an error analysts cited as evidence of an administration in disarray. From unencrypted high-level chats to inaccurate public reports, the leadership is managing a regional war with the casualness of a group text. This institutional negligence has transformed the campaign into a series of uncoordinated, dangerous geopolitical blunders. The danger of those blunders becomes clear when you look at the long-term math. The administration planned for a short, tactical military operation, but ignited a grinding economic war. With shipping lanes blockaded, global oil prices are soaring past the $100 per barrel threshold. Overlaying consumer prices shows highly correlated rising inflation tracking alongside the oil shock, forcing central banks to delay rate cuts and trapping consumers with high borrowing costs. To stop the bleeding, the administration triggered an emergency countermeasure. They announced the release of 172 million barrels of oil from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. But the math simply does not work in their favor. You cannot plug a hole this size with strategic reserves when 1/5 of the world's daily oil consumption remains choked off in the Persian Gulf. The campaign promised global energy dominance. Instead, Washington traded a few weeks of successful bombings for a drawn-out systemic drain on the world economy. Beyond the economic damage, there is a gaping void at the center of this operation. The United States and Israel executed a massive military offensive entirely without a political endgame. The military tactic at play is called strategic disarmament. The goal is to destroy an adversary's physical infrastructure and industrial base, without actually occupying their territory or installing a replacement government. But breaking a regime without replacing it has deadly consequences. With Iran's central command decapitated, its heavily armed proxy networks are resorting to pre-delegated authority. They are operating on their own, completely free from any centralized restraint. This map shows how that fragmentation plays out on the ground. The central command node in Tehran is gone, causing the conflict to bleed outward into independent, highly active hotspots across Lebanon, Iraq, and Yemen. The United States did not end the regional threat by destroying its command structure. It decentralized the danger, turning a single adversary into a fractured, unpredictable contagion. The administration may declare the physical bombing campaign to be nearing completion, but the resulting economic blockades, logistical nightmares, and localized proxy wars will persist for years. Looking past the fractured markets and leaked intelligence, the real question isn't how this war ends. The question is what exactly is about to begin.